Hola, Folcha, bienvenidos a mi clase de español. It's Liam Printer here from the Motivated Classroom. So today's teaching tips and quick activities is again always based on interesting, compelling inputs. And so this was with my year nines today. So they are in their second year of learning Spanish. They are aged about 12 or 13, somewhere like that, 13, 14 maybe. And they get about 2 hours a week with me and have done for the last year, nearly 2 years now. So in this unit, we're focusing on problems during the holidays. So there's the main focus really was around, in the original unit planners, was around body parts and going to the hospital and using foods in restaurants, being on holidays basically, and the kind of vocabulary you might need. So of course I've tried to put a CI or an input stance on this and not just learn lists of vocabulary and not just learn about, set phrases and role plays, because we know that they're very demotivating and there's no autonomy there. So what I have done was, up until now, we've created a story together all about a person who had always wanted to go to Spain to try Spanish tapas, and we talked about the different foods and something they'd always wanted to do but they couldn't do it, and they had to go to different countries and try the different foods, etc. So we've done that already, and today we were getting a bit more into knowing a bit more about what kind of language you might need if something goes wrong on holiday to do with your body. So you have to go to the hospital or the doctor, that type of thing. Again, in the past, it would have been just role plays, worksheets, and trying to put a CI spin on it. So what we did today was a really simple activity. And basically, I had a question up on the board about what kind of problems might occur that you may need to go to a hospital or a doctor. And so we talked about this. And I asked, had anyone ever been sick on holiday? Has anyone ever had to go to the doctor? Have you ever had to go to the hospital? Has anyone in your family had to go to a hospital? And again, for context, I am teaching in an international school. These students travel a lot. Many of them have families in different countries, so they're quite used to traveling and to moving around and to going on holidays, particularly in countries close by to Switzerland. So obviously, if holidays is not something in your context that your students do a lot, then you would adapt the language and make it about the locality. So in this context, we talked about that. And then quite simply, I just said to them, I'm going to talk to you now about problems I've had with my body and things I've had to go to the hospital for. And you have to try and remember as much as you can. So it's basically me talking about lots of things that had happened to me and bones I'd broken. But also I had 4 images that were just taken from the internet of, someone, it just showed a cast. Someone else had showed a cast on their leg. Someone else was in a wheelchair because they'd broken their leg. And then there was a picture of an x-ray. And so I talked to them about each image and we asked, what can you see here? What do you think has happened? Using the language, what have they broken? What might they have broken? What might have happened? We talked about that. And then I spoke about each image and I invented a name for the person and an age for them and what had happened to them, why did they have the cast, what body part had they broken. And then I would do some circling and questions with them. And then quite simply I went to the next slide and it was write down as many body parts as you can from what I've just spoken about individually on your whiteboard. Then they compared them with their partner. And then if they could take it one level further, it was what did I say about those body parts. So what did I say about the wrist? How did the person called John in the image, how did they break the wrist? What were they doing? And we brought it on and on and on. And then eventually we wrote down what we had built together of these 4 very simple images. And all you could see was the body parts. You couldn't see their head. You couldn't see the rest of their body. You could just see, for example, their arm. What color was the cast? But of course, in this simple input activity, they're listening intently because they know they have to try and remember it. We're using cognitive load theory in keeping the cognitive load low, but having them remember and forget things and use their brains to think hard. That's how they're accessing the memories and putting those into long-term acquisition and memory. And they're listening to interesting things about me, things that have happened to me in my life, but also us making up a little narrative about these 4 images. And by the end of the class, 45, 50 minutes, students were able to write down various of the body parts, what might have happened. She has broken, I think he has broken, I think he has fallen, I think she has tripped, that type of language. Some of it was scaffolded on the board. They were working together and we co-created this kind of paragraph of these 4 images. And tomorrow we're going to bring it together and how do these 4 lives intersect? What has happened? Where did they meet? Where were they? What were they doing? So again, just really simple, 4 images, lots of it coming from me, but focused around, a unit. Many people say to me, but I have a specific unit I have to follow. I have learning outcomes, like they have to do the vocabulary for the hospital and the doctor. I do too. And so how can you get around that and make it more interesting rather than just reading a list or doing a worksheet, which can come later, of course. So hopefully you found that interesting. And that's today's teaching video.